So as I said, and before starting, we have joined multiple people. So this is the biggest panel webinar we are doing, or podcast if you're listening to it in the recording. And so we have a bunch of people today that will help us to demystify and get more information about this. So maybe before we start, I love to present each one, but nobody is better to present himself than everybody. So Adam, can you present yourself?
Absolutely. Thanks, Etienne. My name's Adam Zalkin. I head up our sales team at Mindbody. I have been in the industry for about 2 years now, and I'm looking forward to sharing the stage with my fellow presenters and sharing a little bit about what we're experiencing from a technology perspective.
Wonderful. So yes, Mindbody, for people that don't know it, which is pretty much rare, it's a software for appointments, scheduling, payments for fitness facilities.
Yeah.
Is it a good presentation?
Sorry about that. Yeah, I always assume that everybody knows what Mindbody was, so I guess I should build in to my introduction next time a high-level overview of Mindbody.
No stress, I'm taking care. Nathalie, do you want to present you?
Bonjour, everyone. Lovely to be with you here today. I have had the pleasure of working in the industry for going on 30 years now, always absolutely dedicated to exercise adherence. Therefore, this is a subject matter that's very much close to my heart. It's actually what I studied, was exercise psychology and moving people towards sticking to their programs and sticking to the physical activity that they engage in. Most people would probably know me from my last big job, which was vice president of CANFIT Pro. I moved to Montreal almost 5 years ago to be closer to family, and now I'm the coach and cupid of the fitness industry, helping people thrive in their careers and their businesses and help as many people in their communities as they can.
Wonderful. That's super complete. David, do you want to unmute yourself to present?
Yes. Can you hear me there, Etienne? Nice to hear you. My name's David. So I've been living in France for the last 25 years, but I'm actually from London and Loughborough Physical Education Sports Science graduate from long ago yesteryear. And when I moved to France from sort of 1998, I had to move like 8 times in 10 years, like move house 8 times in 10 years and leave the gym that I was in for where I was personal training, and then start again from zero and try and build the business back up again. So having to do that 8 times in 10 years, I had to work on what creates more personal training. I was a personal trainer at the time, and you can't do this slowly, when you have to do it 8 times in 10 years. So that's a bit of the background, which means I was obliged to create a process that works quickly. And then from there on, I went around the world looking at the different process that makes personal training work better in clubs for personal trainers and gym managers. And since that time, over the last sort of 15 years, I've live trained over 3,000 personal trainers and fitness managers to help them put in place more personal training in their clubs than they ever thought possible.
Wonderful. And last little details about David that he's not saying is that he's actually drinking a beer behind his camera. So just to be, since he's in France, so it's the time for the beer for him. On the other side and completely on the west of Canada, so we are more in the morning, we have Hélène. Nice to meet you again.
Yes, hi everyone. It's nice to meet you. And David, I'm on as since I'm the opposite side, so I've got my coffee on the go in Vancouver, British Columbia. And so my name is Hélène in Français, and I'm the founder of Function First Coaching. My career has been in healthcare for the past 20 years as a registered occupational therapist, and using that degree, that training in kinesiology, combining that with my occupational therapy, that amazing Master of Adult Education, and later becoming a certified coach, and really becoming not intentionally, it wasn't with intent to become a certified coach. It was really hitting some of the barriers that we're going to talk about today with motivation and moving clients forward. And just using that experience to support athletic therapists, physical therapists, trainers, and just having been in so many programs and gyms myself, being at the world stage of figure skating in my career, and just knowing the blocks that we're facing in your field, and just motivated to support people to be healthier and live their best lives that they can.
Wonderful. Thanks for being here. And we finish with Perry. So, Perry, can you present?
Hello, everyone. Etienne, thank you again for having me. My name is Perry Tucciarone. I'm currently the Director of Business Development for the Neo Fitness Network. It's part of the Neo out-of-home Canadian advertising network. It's been around for about 20 years. It's new to the fitness industry. I'm launching it, and it's really a very unique advertising platform where it's a free advertising tool where fitness facilities can advertise and monetize their club using our screens. But what's unique about it, we provide an opportunity for the facilities to market and advertise their business outside of their four walls as well too. The reason I'm here as well, I've been in the fitness industry over 25 years, owning, managing, consulting fitness clubs across North America, including the software side of things. And I'm also a provincial council member on the Fitness Industry Council of Canada. For those who are not aware, not-for-profit trade association, representing 6,000 plus Canadian fitness clubs across our wonderful country. And I'm honored to be here and excited to contribute.
Wonderful. Thanks again, everybody, to be here. As everybody listening to us today know, we are always asking to our panelists or our speakers to be available and to give as much value as possible. So today, during the 7th, all of our experts, the five of them, will teach you the fundamentals of client retention. And we really wanted them to provide you ready-to-use strategies also. And to start, I think we'll start with Perry, because you had a good point when we were preparing this webinar. You said that the end goal was not to keep the client. So what did you met with this, and what is your experience?
Well, the end goal, the goal is, if you look after your clients and look after your members, the retention will happen, will happen naturally. Because fitness, you want to talk about how it impact the life of the member from outside the gym. So you need to learn, when you talk to your members and set up members on the programming, their true or emotional reason why they're at your fitness club. And you want to have them focus on a path to their goals based on their life, and share how the goals connect to improving their life. So essentially what you're doing is you're painting a picture of fitness in their life, not your expectations. What I mean by that, for example, if someone says, hey, I want to lose weight. Well, why do they want to lose weight? Is it to improve their family life? Do they have a health issue? Spend time with their children, their grandchildren, whatever it may be. And that is a true reason they're trying to improve their health, to improve their lifestyle. So those are the areas you really need to focus on. And if you accomplish those goals looking after that, then you will keep those clients, and your retention goes up proportionally, a lot higher rate.
Yeah. So the client retention is more like a consequence of doing well your job as a fitness facility or fitness professional.
Exactly. It's a result. As a result of you doing your job properly and looking after your member properly, the result is the retention.
Yeah. And we have talked about that, or something close to this concept of retention, when we did the webinar together. So if somebody wants to dig deeper in this specific opinion that we are talking right now, there's this webinar, Why Most Gyms Go Out of Business, that should have pop up on your bottom left of the screen. So you can just click on it and save it for later. When this will finish, you can just go deeper into this. We are talking then about client retention as also client then communication, for sure. And this, Hélène, is pretty much your main job, or your main expertise. So when we're talking together, you're always talking about active listening. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us more? What do you mean with active listening?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's one that we hear that word. It's a buzzword that we need to listen actively. And what I found for me, getting that additional training and that in that coaching world has helped me to make that really appreciate what active listening is and made it more explicit for me. And it really is in that word, like active, like really intentionally, actively listening when, and exactly to Perry's point, like really exploring when we're meeting with our patients, their why. So I love that you said that, Perry. It's one of the first things that I really try to get clear from clients, to especially if they're going to start to have their exercise goals. And when you're actively listening, it really means that I'm listening through you, trying to understand it from your point of view and coming from a place of no judgment. And it really is asking, I love that slide, asking the right question in their context and really coming to a place of not wanting to fix it for them, which makes it sounds easy, but to really pay attention. And if you've got a distraction or your own experience as you're listening to your clients about their why, it really is about catching that, blocking it so that you could really truly listen and understand their perception, the way they view it, and digging deeper. So one of my tips that I often give is I try to avoid, I try to go with open-ended questions first and foremost, because you'll learn about your client much better if you don't ask a yes/no question. But that why question that Perry was talking about is one that I'll focus on just to tap into their motivation. And then they say to avoid those why questions because it could sound like accusatory. So, but when you're using that a gentle approach and digging into that, coming from a curiosity and asking those whys, and really I will ask it 3 or 4 times, and what will that give you, and what will that give you, and just keep going deeper into their whys to link to their motivation.
Yeah, most of the time, and when we're talking about active listening, it's like people think that you have it or know that skills, but on your side you're always saying that it's a skill that can be learned, and so you can teach it.
It really is a muscle you need to practice. And I've come to appreciate there's many habits for active listening. So one that I've started to get more comfortable with practice is be comfortable with silence. Ask that open-ended question, give them that space to reflect. And for me to be uncomfortable with just that moment of silence, that might just be 10 or 12 seconds, but could feel very uncomfortable. But what you can uncover, and that just habit of just giving that moment of silence can be very impactful, especially if clients are dealing with barriers to moving forward with their exercise routine.
And those are pretty much how to do active listening that you have gave us before when we were preparing this webinar. So do you have more details about all of this short list of elements for doing actively listen?
Yeah, I think that nonverbal is something that we may not be paying attention at times. And so just doing a check-in with ourselves and having that eye contact with our clients can make an impact. Not looking down, maybe not taking notes, maybe putting that aside and really trying to build that relationship and really making them feel heard and listened to. And that can support to build that trust. And if you can have that trust, it can really dial up that engagement and their participation in the program and the service that you're providing them.
Wow, thanks. And if people want to push or dig deeper into this subject, also into the actively listening, you have on the bottom left a new pop-up that just raised that is guiding you to the webinar that we did with Hélène. So I highly suggest you to click on it so you can follow up on this subject and just get better at this. And if you want, Hélène is also doing some trainings about this active listening that you could follow to develop that skills. Another point that we're not talking that much normally, and we were supposed to have another expert for talking about that, but so I will take it instead, because it's also something that we're truly believing in Hexfit. So I'm all all good to manage it. It's the sharing of data. Sharing of data between all of the professionals. Most of the time when you are in a gym or fitness facility, everybody is like an individual, like freelance, and you have multiple professionals not working together at all. But sharing data is making like a cohesion into the gym facility. It's making a cohesion between, for the client, he's believing that is received by the entire gym facility and not just by one coach. If this coach is leaving, it's avoiding the coach to live with all of his clients, because all of the other professional also know about the case. If in your gym you have maybe like physio, kinesiologist, coach, or nutritionist, and you have multiple people together, if the client need to repeat everything from one professional to the other one, it's really the kind of things that can quickly reduce the perception of value and the perception of expertise of your gym facility. And this is why we're always saying about sharing data, interprofessionality that is becoming more and more trendy. And so like Hexfit is allowing you this kind of sharing, but you can always have other tools that will allow you this kind of sharing. But the important point here is just to make sure that all of your professionals are working together in the same goal, the goal that Perry, you said earlier, providing the best value for the client, answering his needs, and reaching the goal of the client. So everybody needs to work together, sharing the information and not being like kind of privately or private things on it. If any of you guys have something to say when somebody else is like, if you have some opinion, feel free to unmute and just to raise your hand, like in school, no stress.
Yeah. Can I dive 1 minute into what Helen was going on?
Yeah.
There? Because it's really cool, the whole active listening thing, Helen. It's maybe not easy for everybody or every personal trainer to understand how important active listening is, and you kind of don't get it until you have it taken away from you. So that I just quickly, I mean, I am an empathic moron. I have handicap filters which prevent me from actually understanding what emotions people are feeling when they're in front of me, which means that I have to actually process all this detail of actually saying, right, this guy said this thing, and then you've got to ask him this question to make sure that he understands that I'm actually interested in him. Do you know, I'm like obliged to go through this process, otherwise I can't get anything out of anybody. And when you dive into that process, you understand all the detail that's necessary to go into that and how much you can get out of it, with it being a sales process or with it being improving the customer experience, or getting people to take the next appointment and to keep going through the process with the club, with the trainer, with whatever we're trying to provide them with. So it's kind of it's something that's been left along the wayside and needs to take its place alongside the whole host of new training techniques that we bring out. This is massively important alongside all these things. Yeah, big up to you, Helen. Yeah.
Thank you so much, David, for sharing that personal story. To me, it's so impactful. You gave me goosebumps as I listened to it. Like it's so impactful, and I say it all the time, and I think it's not until people start to get into the training they realize, oh my gosh, Hélène, I know why you keep saying this. All sounds easy for me to explain, but when you start practicing it, it truly is a muscle. And I love that you appreciate this at a whole other level that many of us won't appreciate it. So
maybe we could do a poll of like how many clubs, trainers, gyms actually train this. You say it's a muscle that needs to be trained. How many clubs, gyms are actually practicing these human interactions on a regular basis? I mean, they train every week, like every day. Do they train this thing that's going to interact with their clients, that's going to actually impact because, like, I mean, you could lift up dumbbells or barbells or kettlebells or run, you could probably get some results, but this interaction thing, hey. Yeah.
And you're a good advocate of this, David, of doing like role play and to just try to fake discussions to practice those kind of skills. I'm following you on the social media, and you're really advocating for this kind of practices.
Yeah, you've got to practice it all the time. Yeah. Use it or lose it, mate.
Yeah. So something that most of the time at Hexfit we're saying is that you want or know the client will finish by lacking motivation. Like, it's just automatic. It's just an obligation. We are working for changing daily habits with the clients. We are working with people that are not moving, that are not actively moving or doing sports, and we want them to introduce that as a daily habits. So it's really a complex thing. It's an obligation. They are arriving in January, they have a bunch of motivation, but it's an obligation, and the stats are saying it in February, in March, when the results are not that fast, are different, when the temperature is changing, doesn't matter which is the trigger, the motivation will go down. So most of the time we will say the goal is not to prevent the lack of motivation, but more to detect it and do something about it. And David, I know you are joining us on that point, and you have a lot of resources about this.
Yeah, sure. I mean, there is. I mean, if we wanna sort of connect with our clients on this issue, we need to get hold of this motivation really right at the start. It's very discouraging to come into a health club being uglier and fatter and slower than everybody else in the gym. So, you want to come into the gym, you really do need somebody to put their arm around you and encourage you. Otherwise, it's really, really tough to get back into shape. So, people like, I hear people sort of giving exercise programs and saying, yeah, come back in 3 months and, we'll see how it's going. No, stop, please. If I've got somebody Monday, okay, lifting up 5 kilo dumbbells, I want to see them Thursday and say, listen, the other day you were on 5 kilo dumbbells. Today you're on 8 kilo dumbbells. It's pretty easy to do because the motor skills between the brain and the muscles are actually developed quite quickly. So we can actually feed in some recompense action around this very, very quickly, right from the second session that they do, and say, right, okay, Monday you were doing 5 kilo dumbbells. Now you're doing 8 kilo dumbbells. Well done, Julie. You're doing hey. Good stuff. Well, okay. And you were running at 10 kilometers an hour, and now you're running at 12. Brilliant stuff. Good job. So, we can be so positive and help people. But obviously, we need to connect people. It's a people business. We've done so much digital stuff over the last few years, but it's still a people business. Your iPhone application cannot lift the dumbbells up for you. So, please let's get some human motivation back into this. And, we need to be following things up a bit. Do you want me to delve into the mechanics of that, or is this for later on?
Yeah. No, go for it, because you're always talking about the importance of the onboarding, and this is pretty much what you just explained it when the client is arriving, to not abandon him for 3 months.
Absolutely. I mean, we actually have Paul Bedford online with us today, so maybe Paul can ask a few questions or add some layers into this. But the absolute massive, write this down, whatever you do, write this down. The massive game changer for our industry is in Paul Bedford's research. And basically what he found was, when you put in place over the first month, not 6 months, first month, 4 appointments where you've got face-to-face interaction, where you've got human being actually asking questions and interacting with the member. It could be an appointment before the group exercise, or it could be an appointment before, show them around the gym and show them how to start and stop the treadmill or whatever. We could put a personal trainer into that process and all the rest of it. But when you get 4 appointments instead of having 1 appointment, which probably most gyms struggle to just do 1 appointment and get a program in place, the member retention over 12 months jumps from 38% to 70%. That is massive, and it's something that you need to put in place right away from the first week, 15 days in the gym membership journey. So obviously the big question about that is, how do we put in place sufficient man hours behind the people, when we've got limits on how much money and budget and people we can employ with the gym to actually look after our clients and do all this client care. But it's really, really well worth doing. So what I would say to people is that the how do we put this in place is really at the center of what we should be doing. And what I would like for every single gym manager to be looking at, whether or not your personal trainers are salaried personal trainers or independent personal trainers, it is really, really important that we make sure that we get, if you can count the 1, 2, 3, 4th point on this, the appointment with a personal trainer. This isn't first personal training session. This isn't training session. This is sitting down and discussing the project with the new client, with the personal trainer, looking at how did your first couple of appointments go? How did your first group class go? How did your first program go? Oh, you had a back problem the next morning because the person isn't used to moving, is used to sitting down in front of his Excel spreadsheets. And we need to be quite comforting at that point and helping the person get through this. And sometimes it might be, okay, we need to change a few of the exercises. Let's have a look at your posture. Let's have a look at your suppleness. Let's have a look at how your hips and your back are moving. Right, I can give you a few stretches that can help you take some of the pressure off your back. I can give you a couple of abdominal or lower back exercises going to help you. We can take some of these exercises out and bring them back in later so that you can actually get through the next couple of workouts without having your back hurting the next morning. And just helping people with that much is amazing difference, because we have so many people that join health clubs, they start moving, the next day their back hurts or whatever, or they're stiff everywhere, and it's a big shock to their system. They're not used to this, and they just sit there going, Jesus Christ, why did I buy a gym membership? I'm not built for this. I mean, that we can think of that as being as faulty as we like. That is their perception, and we need to help people say, okay, these are teething problems, this is normal, we can help you with this, we can change a few exercises, and we can make this so that your next few workouts, it works out better for you. Now, whether or not that gym member actually buys personal training thereafter isn't the point. The point is, if we get that point of contact done and validating that the previous point of contacts went well or not, and then changing the next few points of contact and reprogramming the next bit in their activity, wow, that's amazing. That is how we're going to get this jump in progress that we can get over the next few months. So if we can get that bit done, now we need to work on a few bits if we want to get our numbers up to scratch, and I'll show you the numbers in a second. Now you need to work on, if we go from the first point where we're joining the club, we need to look at how we're describing and prescribing the services. What's included in the gym membership, what's not included in the gym membership, what are the advantages of spending a little bit more money on this? Here's why you should take this appointment with this personal trainer, whether you buy or not. Sit down and have a chat with him anyway, and you can talk about what sort of things you want to progress. And we need to just work on how we're describing and prescribing this at the front desk, and that will impact whether or not we actually get these appointments done. So that's the first point. The second point is, when you get to see the personal trainer, what are the soft skills, as Helen was saying, what are the listening skills like? All these little details, it goes much, much further than the technical skills. But these are the things that are going to determine whether or not that person continues to do appointments with that personal trainer or continues to do a bit of programming at whatever level of frequency. So, the short of it is this: measure your conversions from new members, what percentage are getting to meet the personal trainer so that he can make sure that all this process is going well, and what percentage of these people meeting the personal trainer actually continue to do something with personal trainer there. Because you all have in your club a personal trainer rock star who's killing it. Every time he sits down with somebody, they sign a contract. And you have other personal trainers where every time they sit down with a personal trainer, they run away from the gym and we never see them again. So, we've got to make sure that we're looking at what's the rock star doing that this other guy's not doing, and maybe he can look at what has this person worked on. Has he worked on this muscle in here and made it more compatible with the client? And can we bring him up to this standard? Can we get these people to train together? I firmly believe, and I've applied this by experience in health clubs with thousands of members, and we can get over 50% on both of these numbers. Now, some people always say to me, David, yeah, you're asking me to sell personal training to 25% of my members. That's not possible. They don't have the money. Just put that to one side a bit. Just focus on the human. Okay, we can do it. It's just we need to have this thing needs to work better and not this thing working better. Okay, so we can do it. But it does need attention to detail in the process. But if we do that, whether the client buys or not, we're bringing up the level of our human interaction and bringing up the level of satisfaction. And whether the client buys or not, we're going to get loads more client fidelity off the back of this, and that will help us do a load of things better. We must please have our training, our protocols, and our measures of success working exactly the same as all the other parts of the gym. When you have people on the front desk doing selling gym membership, you have your sales training, you have your numbers that you're looking at. How many calls have you had today? How many people have you got coming in? How many of these people coming in? How many people are buying the gym membership? You're measuring the success and you're applying process and you're doing role play with your salespeople. Okay. You have with your group exercise, you have maybe your Let's Mills or your Zumba class or your pre-choreography or the content that you've worked on together or whatever it is to make sure that the quality of the content is there. And then you're measuring the numbers of how many people each gym instructor is bringing into the class. We're measuring the success and working on that. You get to the personal training and you get to the gym instructors or anything that's happening on the individual training zones or the weights and cardio areas in the gym. And it's do whatever you like, guys. And I'm not talking about putting in place your healthy lifestyle analysis. I'm saying we need to role play on what's going on exactly on your listening skills and your soft skills and your sales skills and the customer experience and the visual, auditive and kinesthetic cueing skills. And when you're animating a session, is this personal trainer giving a wow experience so that when somebody comes out of that session, somebody's going, wow, that guy was awesome. I had a great time with him, a brilliant workout. That I would so much recommend this guy to all of my friends. I'm going to keep coming back and I'm going to keep paying and I'm going to keep, And this is, we really, really need to look in very minute detail as to how we're doing this. Okay, so if we want to talk about sales, we'll talk about customer experience, we can delve into that detail another day. And when we do that, that will allow us to, what slide be on? Yeah. That will allow us to do all the other stuff. That will allow us to do that will allow us to have the necessary time sat down with somebody to do the client care. You had sore muscles last week and we need to change the weights or change the exercise, or the client didn't understand the program and or we need to listen to him, or he's tired this week, or he's stressed, or he's got problems at work, he's got problems with his family, hasn't slept this week or whatever. Then we need to modify the programs and stuff like that. Can we measure the progress, how much he was lifting last week? Can we congratulate him by the programs and stuff like that? Can we track his frequency? Can we ask him how? All the other stuff, checking that the people are coming in regularly and doing their stuff. We can do that from the point at which we have quality time interacting with that human being. And that will allow us to do all of the healthy lifestyle factors. Here in France, we have 21 points that we go through, seven stress management, 7 nutritional and 7 physical activity points on their healthy lifestyle questionnaire. And all of these points are linked up not only to their healthy lifestyle bit, but also to the aesthetic bit, which they can see. So whether they're losing a few kilos or putting a bit of muscle on or whatever, so we can link these things together and make all this work together. So, but we need to be measuring and training our brain muscles.
And And based on that, we're talking about the human touch, a lot about it. But maybe Adam, I'm just thinking about you because everybody knows that I'm a techie guy and you're working with Mindbody. Like that's fine. We want KPIs, we want percentage, we want automatic appointment or task for scheduling an appointment. We're talking about a lot of things that most of the gyms cannot manage easily. And I already see most of the gym facility creating an Excel file to try to manage it. So maybe just quick, how Mindbody can automatize it at scale and help us.
Yeah, and you hit the nail on the head, right? We're not trying to displace the human touch. What we're trying to do is take on things like how do you access your data? How do you gain insights from your data? How do you supplement and ensure that the active listening that you've conducted gets communicated to other team members that may be working with the same client? How do you track KPIs? These are all things that both Mindbody and Hexfit do a great job of inside and outside of the gym. And you stole my thunder a little bit. I'll continue to talk about this later on in the webinar. But we're really making sure that that we're enabling as opposed to replacing the kinesiologist or the physical therapist. And that's key. And a big part of my job is understanding how do businesses and how do professionals interact day to day, and what are ways that we can make it easier on them while also providing the best customer experience that they can. And a part of that is having very simplistic technology that supplements the human touch and allows you to gain insights and share data across your business.
Exactly, and it's really this. It's if like the software Mindbody is able to create automatic follow-up task in my calendar in my software, then I have more time to manage the client, the human touch. And this, I just want to share your approach, Hélène, the dive into a coach approach that will appear on the bottom left. So now that we are better managing the daily task and everything, we can perfectionate our human skills. So what is the dive into a coach approach?
Yes, essentially a micro-credentialing program I put together when I realized this was such a missing piece in healthcare, in the field, when I would have loved for my coaches when I was a figure skater to use that approach with me, how much further I would have been along. But what I realized was that motivation was so often a barrier for helping people move forward, and to really have the tools to be able to manage a dialogue, manage someone to move forward when the barrier is one of perception. I do not believe I will lose all that weight. I do not believe I will ever lift 20 pounds in my life. I do not, right? So we all have these perceptions, these beliefs, these attitudes. We might have some judgment. They're based on our experience. We all have it. So how do we manage that as personal trainers when our client, we know they've got so much more to give, and they're able to do more, but it's the barriers, their attitude, their beliefs, their judgment, and how do I support that when someone's not motivated to move forward? Yeah. And so finally discovering those tools and just putting all that training that I was explaining at the intro, just really merging all of that together so that someone doesn't have to go through the full professional certification coaching program that I have to go through. And for me, I realized there's very few programs that are designed made by healthcare for healthcare. And my training was really speaking to leaders, which is fantastic. But this approach, it was really trying to develop it so we can use it with our patients, with our clients, so that we can support them.
So everybody, you can click if you want to just learn more on the bottom left of the page. You add the pop-up that normally just arrived. Perry, I'm coming back to you because you said something that was really really interesting me that is something that even at Hexfit we are applying it for our professional client. You said service must be an obsession. And it's really relating me with like some books about customer relationship, customer success that I have loved, that we have put in place in Hexfit. But as a gym manager, because you already have been a gym manager, Perry, what do you mean and how is it transposing to the gym management to make service as an obsession?
No problem. Obsession is fun, and it's also a commitment to that obsession. So you want to commit to have that service for your members, okay? And to really simplify it, it's an old rule that still applies, is first start off with the 10-foot rule. Anyone within 10 feet of any of your staffer, just say hi, just say hello, just make that eye contact, right? It's really important, smiles, highs, goodbyes, making that eye contact go a long way to, making that member feel welcome. Because part of them at the fitness club as well too is to enjoy the experience, not to go in and work out and go. They want to enjoy the experience there. And if you improve the experience, you'll build that retention. And I've ran clubs and consulted clubs before where all of a sudden the big brand new, fitness centers open up just down the street, and they have all the new toys that the current club did not have because it's been around for like 10 years. And it's because the experience that you create and the obsession with that service, the members stay. You will lose some, you always will lose some, but a lot of members will stay because they enjoy that experience. They don't want to be a number. They don't want to be a number. You need to treat them as individuals, okay? And you need to make it personal to be kind as well too. So everyone's got to take it upon themselves that it's important to be kind to others, and also be a problem solver, right? If someone if someone walks by any of your staff sees them, if not only if they ask you a question, but they see them kind of wandering, ask if you can help them. Ask you a question, and if you don't have the answer, just don't say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I don't know." Just say, "You know what? That's a great question. Let me find someone who can help you," and then direct them or find the person who can help them with their, with their problem as well too, or their question. And the key to this, it starts at the top. All right. The leaders must lead by example. So the owners, the managers, the leads, they all have to lead. It starts because there's an old saying: you have a problem at the bottom, you have a problem at the top. So these start at the top, and it all filters down. And if I'm a receptionist and my lead admin is doing it, if I'm a sales rep and my sales manager is doing it, if the club general manager is doing it, then I'm going to do it. I'm more apt to do it because they're leading by example. It's a key component as well too. So the way you treat members, make them feel welcome, is what's going to keep them coming. And then now you have all the extra tools for communication, right? Just through trainers, through technology for if it's a training client, in between sessions, there's automated notifications of members, or the trainer can send, "Okay, you're not with me for another week, so here's the things I'd like you to do in the interim." There's also software out there that works on behavioral change. So there's a lot of tools out there in addition to the human interaction, but it all comes back to that human interaction.
Yeah, the 10-foot law. We can call it like this. And I really love this one. So everybody keep it in note because it's clearly something easy to put in place that can make a lot of difference. And the other thing, and Nathalie, we are talking about that a lot. It's people don't want to go to the gym for just, for strengthening, and they want to have fun when they go to the gym. They want to have pleasure, and you're really like the queen for this. You're making everybody feel good and happy when they're training with you, and you have worked with CANFIT Pro that is teaching how to teach for personal training. So what do you mean, and how can a coach or a gym make it fun to go train? Because most of the time it's not, and we are also keeping a vocabulary that it's making it not fun.
Yeah, I think that so it comes from studying what actually helps behavior modification related to physical activity, and we us people in the fitness industry, those of us that do this for a living, or those of us that are passionate about fitness and have it as a habit, most of us for a really long time, think that results are what drive adherence. And so we create these 30-day transformation programs, 60-day transformation programs, and we're really, really pushing to the results. But the reality is it's the same thing like diets. We understand it for nutrition, trying to do something for a short period of time to get the results actually doesn't work. Somehow we forget to translate that to physical activity and movement. Pleasure and fun is actually the best predictor of exercise adherence, and pleasure for them. Maybe almost throwing up after 120 burpees is pleasureful for us, maybe not for the rest of the population, because we are statistically abnormal in how much we enjoy physical activity. And so programming pleasure and fun into exercise is really, really critical to help people stick with their programs. And to David's point earlier, most times at the beginning, and I think this is where the empathy comes in, and Hélène talked about that too, the short-term costs of physical activity far outweigh the long-term benefits. And I think we forget that. We're like, yeah, but, you know, and they're like, oh my God, everything hurts. And this is our face, right? It's madness. And there's no empathy when it comes to that. Focusing on what the short-term pleasure is. And the short-term pleasure is really much more linked to the mental health benefits of physical activity than to the physical health benefits. The physical health benefits take time. It's pain, money, and time at the beginning. But when it comes to the mental health benefits, the psychological ones, we're decreasing stress hormones. We automatically will very likely have better sleep. We automatically will have dopamine release. We automatically will have serotonin release. We'll have a sense of pride, a sense of accomplishment. The mental health benefits are instant gratification. The physical health benefits take a long time. So having that empathy with people and understanding that programming pleasure fun, which means coaching it, not from the we're still doing a lot of no pain, no gain, not from a no pain, no gain perspective, but from a how you feeling now? Isn't it great that instead of going home today, you actually dedicated to this? Maybe you didn't make it for the hour session, but for 45 minutes, you focused on yourself, you accomplished this. You are now much more relaxed to go home and have a wonderful evening with your family. This is what I mean by talking about fun. I'm not a cheerleader, clown. I mean, I think I'm funny. I think I'm fun and all of these things, but not everybody is. What I mean by customers want to have fun is focusing on the pleasure, which a lot of it has to do with, again, focus on mental health at the very beginning, related to physical activity, related to every single workout, connecting them with the pleasure of that. What that means for them is how we're going to help them come week after week after week.
Yeah. And this is really important for reaching, because actually the industry of fitness is reaching like maximum 15% of the population in every countries. And the 15% will be the highest percentage in the best countries. Most of the time, like in Canada, will be around 8 or 9, in France around 7, I think. In US, I absolutely don't know, maybe lower. And so maybe Adam, you know, but at the end, it's going to, the more we are making sport as happiness and fun, better we'll reach a bigger percentage of the population. We'll get more people that are right now going to walk in a park or that are actually active a bit, but they are not in our gym because for them it's not fun at all.
And we've done a lot of, you're absolutely, Etienne, and that 15 or less has been around since we've been in this. And I think for most of us, since we've been around, half of people who start an exercise program drop out within the first 3 to 6 months. And I mean, one day I'm going to want to retire and that needle needs to move or I won't, because we need to do a better job when it comes to that. And so remembering what that means to people, we've sold exercise as the punishment for the reward that is food for a good majority of the existence of our industry. No wonder people see it as a negative. We've sold it as a, work off your holiday pounds and come to the gym, because most of the people that came to the gym had weight loss or physique goals. The reality is most people who want to move have goals far beyond that. So including physical activity and exercise and wellness versus having wellness be like self-care, bubble baths, and an ice cream sundae, and then having fitness here as the punishment, bringing it in as an integral part of wellness will help us tap into that other 85%. And I'm excited for us to do that together.
And something I'm really like keeping in mind, and based on pretty much everything everybody you are saying, is that then the goal is really not just to sign a new membership, but to retain the person on the long term, to reach maybe the 6-month threshold that you just said, Nathalie. So maybe that can be the new goal of every gym's owner, instead of just signing new membership. And we have done a webinar. Sorry, Perry, go.
Yeah, so I just want to add one thing to this, which I think is really important for people that come in, is to manage their expectations as well. Because we know very well, you need to come in 2 or 3 times a week, 45 minutes to get, to attain some goals. The more often you come in, the longer you work out, the quicker you attain your goals. But you know what, I think we overlook, I just learned this recently from another group I'm involved with, another board I'm on, and I've changed my mindset. If I was running a club today, is manage expectations. So a lot of times, if you say you have to come in 3 times a week, and now you're coming in once a week, right? The member thinks they're failing. So I think, and this is my opinion, I think if you open up your mind to say, hey, you want to come in 3 times a week, but you know what? Coming in once a week is still good. It's better than what you're doing now. If you at least come in once a week until you can get up to 3 times a week, then that's a positive thing. So I think we really need to manage expectation of members, instead of, forcing that part of, hey, you got to come in 3 times a week, push them. I got to find that balance of manage their expectations as well. And where, you know what, you're giving once a week, it's better than doing now. You're doing nothing right now. So once a week for a while, it's okay.
Sure. Yeah. Top shout, Perry. We were looking at some of Paul Bedford's data earlier. Paul Bedford has actually been measuring not just member frequency of member visits, but also the delta of member visits as per what they were previously doing, and he's been showing a huge negative impact of reduction, negative delta in the frequency of their visits, and this being more important than the actual number of visits per se. Somebody started by doing once a week and they continue doing once a week, it's not really a problem because they're used to doing that. But if somebody started doing 3 times a week and gone down to once a week, that's a problem for them. And we can take some human, if we can measure this and react to it and actually book appointments in to look at this and help people through these things. I mean, just the fact of having a human being sitting down and saying something to you, like, do you know that the gap between 0 workouts and 1 workout, this is the biggest impact, and by far the biggest impact you can have on your health and longevity and heart health and avoiding all sorts of health problems and mental health and all that. So, yeah.
And I will join everybody to watch this webinar we did, Why People Hate Exercise, that we did with Nathalie. I think the title is pretty much saying exactly what we're talking right now, that we need to improve this perspective from the customers about our industry. I'm a techie guy again, as everybody knows. So we are talking about a bunch of things. If you want only 1 client, or maybe 3 clients in your gym, if you are alone as a trainer, maybe you can manage everything in Excel. I will believe it. But quickly, and here I think we are talking to people that want to grow their business, that want to be successful and live from it. If you only want 3 clients, keep the tricks we said, but from now on, it's not really useful. But if you want to grow, you will need to be equipped at some point. And Adam, I think you are the best person for talking about that, since you are at Mindbody, and Mindbody is one of the great tools that Hexfit we are connected to and that we're proposing to our clients for structuring themselves. KPI management of employees. Talk about all of that and how we need, as a business owner, a software for better improving client retention.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's really 3 steps to client retention as it pertains to technology, and that's getting the right people in the door, keeping them engaged, and then getting referrals. And it's kind of a cyclical motion. So getting the right people at the door starts with good data, but good data by itself is worthless unless you have technology that you can easily decipher what that data looks like. And so we have tools that allow customers that allow our customers, our businesses, to model their customer profiles and based on the demographic that they belong in, communicate in the means that makes more sense to them. So of course, beyond just our marketing to internal, there's also search engine optimization, email marketing, social media marketing. And so all of these things help bring the client in. But at the end of the day, once they're interested, you need to be able to give them a means to easily book and interact with your business. And so if you have 3-4 clients and you're one individual, you may not be able to leave the clients and answer the phone. So if a new customer is going to book and you have no way for them to do that, or if you have no way to answer the phone while you're with customers, then oftentimes that individual is going to move on to one of your competitors. And so we have AI is something that we continue to see dominate the fitness industry and make an introduction, and having the ability to, when you are busy with customers, to have their needs fulfilled with a bot, to add a little bit of that human touch without being able to talk to them, and also allowing you to connect directly with your customers. The other piece of the puzzle is engagement. So you got them in the door, you need to keep them engaged. You talked a little bit about this at the end, which is automations. So marketing at key points in the customer's journey, and being able to take more of a hands-off approach, but also keeping them engaged while they're in the gym is let's say easy and seamless. What tools are available outside of the gym? And that's where this partnership with Hexfit has been really good. And we've seen a lot of customers come to us looking for both solutions inside and outside of the gym. But also with COVID, virtual wellness has been at the forefront. And so we thought that we would see a dip in virtual wellness, but it continues to come up as being a need. And so really we want to be able to touch both inside and outside of the gym our clients, and making sure that they have what they need. And then quickly, the last one, asking for referrals. Don't be afraid to ask for referrals. It's such a critical part of naturally building your business. And you know that if somebody is having fun in your gym, is interested in what you have to offer, they are going to likely want to bring in their friends who naturally will fit into your ideal customer.
Yeah. And everybody at Hexfit, we're proposing always the best, at least what we think is the best. And I see a lot of customers or clients that are not well equipped already with something. And so I'm always saying that the best day for getting equipped was yesterday, and the next best day is today. So if you want, you can click on the bottom left for getting more information about Mindbody, because they truly have a complete software that is allowing you to do those kind of follow-up. Evan, I know AI is trendy, but I saw demos of this part of their software a long time before it was trendy. So they are ahead of competition also into those kind of features. And they are really providing data that then can be used for creating a better customer relationship or concentrating your effort on the right thing. Just before we leave everybody each other, because we are completing the time we had all together, there was one last thing that I really wanted to see all together. And Nathalie, I think you can be the best for talking about that on your side. Most of the time we see people starting big campaign of marketing and Facebook and getting into sales tunnel or things really complex for no reason. Nathalie, can you tell us the first thing that our gym facility, gym owner or personal trainer need to put in place?
Building trust. First thing you need to do is build trust. And trust comes from being one, super authentic to what you do incredibly well, to the mission or the promise or the vision that you have for them. And doing that, you build trust by that being a good match for who you are. So the authenticity and the integrity was the first bit. And the second bit is consistency. And it's really tough not to get distracted because there's incredible trends out there. There's other people doing other things that sadly you're looking at on social media at 5 o'clock in the morning. But the reality is trust comes from being consistent to who you are and staying consistent with that message, with that promise, with that brand and who you are. So therefore honoring the pledges, making sure that you can deliver on those pledges, deliver on those promises before you even seek out to look something else. And so it might not work the first time, but it's going to work, and it's only going to work if you build the trust by doing it consistently.
Wonderful. And for everybody, I want you to live with some homeworks, some things to do. So I'm sharing you the workbook of Nathalie. I don't know if Nathalie, you want to take 1 second for talking about it, but I will highly suggest all of you to fulfill it.
Yeah, so the workbook is a free resource for you to work through that teaches us how to strengthen mental health through fitness. So it's a little bit what I talked about earlier. All of us are talking about mental health, but I don't think we're all really confident in delivering that communication and the message. And so I go over some of the top ways that physical activity and exercising actually helps strengthen mental health. And happy to deliver that for free to anybody who wants to grab it.
Wonderful. Then everybody, thanks a lot for having joined this webinar. Thanks for having worked with me so we enter in the 1 hour we had promised to everybody listening to us. Honestly, I think we could have continued for 2 more hours. We have shortened some stuff everywhere. I'm really sorry. My goal was to keep it in 1 hour. But everybody listening to us, as we always say, all of those experts are available for discussion. Okay, so all of those experts, you had multiple links during the webinar that I hope you have clicked on them. If you didn't, just write us on our social media of Hexfit and we'll give them back to you. But all of those experts can talk further and deeper on your specific case without any problem. So you have all of those experts for you. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, everybody listening to the podcast, and we see each other in maybe other webinar in the future.
See you later, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Ciao.